Cristiano Gintuli came to Juventus to fix the books. And on paper, he did. But behind the spreadsheets was a strategy built on sand. Quick fixes that risk collapsing the club's long-term future. He didn't build a financial model. He didn't create new revenue streams. He gambled the club's future on its past, selling off academy players for pure profits to balance the books. Huijsen, Sule, Rovella, Fagioli. Names that should have formed a new Juventus core. Gone or cast aside. Cashed in before they could even prove their worth. Huijsen went to Bournemouth for peanuts. Then landed at Real Madrid a year later. And who did Gintuli bring in to replace him? Lloyd Kelly. Yes, Lloyd Kelly. A bench warmer at Newcastle. For more money. It wasn't vision, it was cutting corners. And the marquee signings, Coop Miners, Douglas Luiz, Nico Gonzalez. Big fees, no impact. A midfielder that never clicked. A system that never gelled. Even Thiago Motta, the promising coach from Bologna, didn't last the season. Was he exposed or set up to fail by a broken squad? Yes, Gintuli stabilised the finances. But he did it with shortcuts, not solutions. He balanced the books by gutting the club's foundation. And now, Juventus is left wondering, was it worth the cost? Enter Hassan Salihamidzic, a man with battle scars from Bayern Munich, but also a man with a proven eye for brilliance. They called him Brazzo in Bavaria, a soldier on the pitch, and a scout with a sniper's eye of it. Jamal Musiala, Alphonso Davies, two of the brightest stars in world football, both spotted, signed, and trusted under his watch. One from Chelsea's academy, the other a teenager from the MLS. They weren't just signings, they were prophecies fulfilled. And while the headlines focused on Bayern's boardroom chaos, Salihamidzic quietly stacked silverware. During his time as sporting director, Bayern Munich won 6 Bundesliga, 2 DFB Pokal trophies, 5 German Super Cups, and the 2022 UEFA Champions League, part of a treble. Yes, there were mistakes. Some transfers didn't click. But he operated in a fractured hierarchy, where decisions were more political than they were sporting. And still, he found talent. He trusted youth. He backed identity. Salihamidzic never built squads to flip for a profit. He built squads to last. If Juventus wants to stop trading away its soul for short-term relief, this might be the man to lead them forward. Because Juventus doesn't just need a sporting director. They need someone with a vision. Someone who sees not just what a player is, but what they could become. From balance sheets to broken dreams, the page turns. And maybe, just maybe, the right eye is finally watching. Cristiano Gintuli is gone. And boy oh boy has it been a long time coming. A long time coming. If I was in charge, I would have probably sacked him the day I sacked Motta. That's what I would have done. But I feel like with Gintuli's tenure at Juventus, I'd be a liar if I told you guys he done some good. I feel like what he done is what you expect of a sporting director, but the best of sporting directors, they go above and beyond. They bring their own unique skill set, things that make them different from other sporting directors. And I'll be honest with you guys. For example, when we looked at Gintuli and he won the league with Napoli, everybody looked at him and said, wow, you're unique. You're different. You're special. Shout out DJ Khaled. Anyways, they looked at him and they were like, you're different. You're special. You just gone to a team that hasn't won the Serie A in, I believe, 33 years. And you've built a squad. You haven't spent much money. You've appointed the right coaches. You've taken them into this direction of playing fancy, beautiful football. Like that Napoli Scudetto winning run, they played the nicest football in Italy. It made him special. It made him in demand. He showed the whole world, I can work on a small budget, but still elevate this team and turn them into Serie A winners, turn them into history makers, a team that hasn't won it in 33 years. So when he came to Juventus, I feel like everybody looked at him and said, now you're at a bigger club. Yes, the demands, the pressure, the standards. But we still share the same vision as Napoli. We want to be Scudetto winners. We want to be Serie A winners. We want to dominate the league. So can you bring that unique skill set of yours? Boy, oh boy, he didn't bring no unique skill set. He brought flaws. I'll be honest with you guys. He brought flaws. And I don't know, like, was the job too big for him? Was he given too much power? Is he the type of sporting directors that need 2 to 3 years to get the job over the line? Or is he one of those guys that can't hit the ground running? I don't know. Like when I look at Gintuli's time and I look at his career, he actually done well in my opinion at Napoli. But at Juventus, he stank. He stank on another level. Yes, he walked into the club. Financially, they were in a lot of trouble. COVID, the Cristiano Ronaldo deal, all of those things. But he walked in and guys, I'd be a liar if I told you he didn't spend money. And I feel like at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with spending money. You need to spend money in the modern game. But when you spend money wrong, you're going to be scrutinized. And I look at the Mercato from last year. Douglas Luiz, Coop Miners, Nico Gonzalez. Don't get me wrong. These guys were good players outside of Juve. But as a sporting director, it's your job to understand them, to know their strengths, to know their weaknesses, and on top of everything, to know how to fit them into the project that you're assembling, because this is your project. You're hiring the coach for your project. So surely the coach must share the same vision as you. I am still of the opinion Coop Miners does not work in a Thiago Motta team. I've been saying this whole season. So who actually wanted Coop Miners? Did Gintoli want him? And he forced him down Motta's throat? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of question marks when it comes to Gintoli. But listen, his time is done. And let's just say Gintoli will go down in the history books for bad reasons. He will be the guy that fumbled a generational talent. Like, I feel like everybody at Real Madrid, everybody at Bournemouth, every football fan is sat asking themselves the question, look at how good Dean Huijsen is. Bournemouth have let him go after one season. And trust me, they've let him go because there's a release clause. They can't do anything about it. But everybody sat asking themselves the question, which club sold him to Bournemouth when all it took was 1 year for him to showcase his talent and earn a move to Real Madrid? Which club? Juventus. And I'll be honest with you guys, I feel like internally, there's a lot of regret. Letting Huijsen go, not giving him an opportunity. And I've always said, I've got no problem with clubs pulling the plug and letting players go. Because maybe, just maybe, they're not as developed, they're not as experienced, maybe they've got heavy luggage. But I'm still of the opinion, if a player is young, and there's promise, and there's talent, and there's potential, you can sell them. But insert a buyback clause. Have first priority. Like, there's so many ways nowadays to sell a player. Allow them to go out there, develop, gain the necessary experience. But you can always bring them back. The fact that he sold the guy for what, 12, 13 million. I found it shocking. And I'll be honest with you guys. I could say the exact same thing about Sule. So Sule, for me, is going to become one of the best players in this area. Fact. What I saw of this kid at Frosinone. What I saw of this kid in a Roma team under Ranieri, where he's being chopped and changed, played all over the park. Like, he's definitely a player that Juventus, the coach, whoever it is, the players, they probably look at him and say, we'd love to have him in our squad. He was in your squad. And Gintoli let him go for profits. Yeah, I don't know. Like, he came across like a hot potato. Yeah, that's what it is. He came across like a hot potato where he was too eager to sell. And in a lot of people's eyes, ooh, look at the finances. Ooh. They're not saying ooh when they looked at the Serie A table at the end of the season, did they? But anyways, he is on his way out. What am I talking about? He's fired, okay? Gintoli is gone. So who is the replacement? Hassan Salihamidzic. Yeah, I had to go on Google to know how to pronounce that name. With all due respect, I had no idea. Hassan Salihamidzic, okay? Now, he was at Bayern, okay? He won a treble at Bayern. He is a guy that's also going to go down in the history books, but not for bad reasons like Gintoli. He is going to go down in the history books because he signed Alphonso Davies from Vancouver Whitecaps. Who sits down and watches the MLS? Like, I'll be so honest with you guys. A sporting director, a scout, diving into that market, I respect it. I respect it so much. It shows an eye for talent. It shows, especially, like, with all due respect, when you look at the MLS, there's not many players that come out of that league that go on to have amazing, promising careers. But the fact that you can dissect and look into the MLS and still walk out of it with the next big thing, arguably the best player, it says a lot. It says a lot because it's a big crop of players. So for you to be able to walk in and identify who's good, and when it comes to the MLS, we always have to apply context. Yes, the level of coaching, the playing conditions, the overall competition, the quality, like all of these things play a part. A player might look good over there, but then once you put him in Europe, that isn't the case. But the fact that you can go over there and bring Alphonso Davies and put him into this Bayern Munich team, and there was a period where he was the best fullback in the world, I have to credit it. When it comes to Jamal Musiala, there's an article online, you guys can read it, where he had this hands-on approach with Jamal Musiala, where he knew Jamal Musiala wanted to leave Chelsea, even though there was some bias, there was some love to the club, because he'd been there since the age of 8. Manchester United, Manchester City, Chelsea wanted to retain him, and RB Leipzig. RB Leipzig's youth development speaks for itself. Every single young player in Germany either goes to Leipzig or Borussia Dortmund. He came into the frame. I believe it was him and Marco Nepo, too, the chief scout at Bayern Munich. They went into it and they were like, we are getting our hands on this young player. And it even says Hassan Salihamidzic, he had this hands-on approach where the first thing he'd done, before even sitting down discussing the numbers, telling him about Bayern Munich, the first thing he'd done, which was so different to all the other clubs, he arranged a sit down with his family. And I'll be honest with you guys, like, I feel like that's such an important thing where it shows you care. Some clubs, all they care about is, are you going to put pen to paper? Are you going to sign the deal? Yes or no? If no, we're going to someone else. But I feel like with him, he was like, no, let me connect with the player on a personal level. Like, this player is young. And I'm now basically trying to convince this player to leave his home, to leave his boyhood club, and go all the way to another country. So what I need to do is instill that trust in his family members, in him. Let me be a friend before a sporting director. And I loved it. Like, when I read it, I loved it because you could see, like, how do you put it? Like, is he a family man? Is he a good human being? A good Samaritan? Like, how do you put it? But I loved it. I'll be honest with you guys. A hands-on approach. And even during his time at Bayern Munich are not really a Moneyball team, shall we say. But when he came in, he started to look at the data. And I feel like that's how he came across somebody like Alphonso Davies, yeah? You could see he's got an eye for talent. He's got an eye for data. And for me, the fact that he always wants to build a young squad and help it grow together. Like, he doesn't look at players and say, I want a player in the twilight years of his career. No, give me the young players. Because these young players, I can create an environment. I can create an atmosphere. I can create an institution where these young players want to come to. They want to grow. They want to grow together. They want to succeed together. They want to develop together. That's what I want. And when you have a young team, a young core, and you grow them together, like, let's be real, it becomes sustainable because you've now got a team that can compete season after season after season. It's not a case like Inter, for example, where they've competed for the past 2-3 years, but now everybody's old. You have to let them go. With him, he always had an eye for talent when it came to young players. And I'll be honest with you guys, when you look at the modern game, how every club in the world wants the next big thing. Every club in the world wants the next big thing. They tend to target the younger players, okay? The fact that he was able to convince and bring younger players to Bayern Munich, where players in the back of their heads know, Bayern Munich, there's a lot of competition. It's not like I'm going to a mid-table team where I'm guaranteed minutes. No, Bayern Munich. But the fact that he can sit them down and give them that reassurance, which is you're coming here. And even if you don't play, you will develop. And I can guarantee you, season after season, you will grow. And you will leave in 4 or 5 years, or let's say you don't leave, you will become a better player. You will win silverware. There is a place for you in our system. Because even when I look at some of the players that he signed that didn't work out, the majority of them were under 10 million. The majority of them were under 10 million, besides 2. Gravenberch, and in my opinion, Gravenberch has gone on and shown. He was a promising talent at Ajax. Okay, that's number one. He was a promising talent at Ajax, yeah? Like, even during his time at Ajax. The main reason why, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a summer where all of a sudden Ajax was so desperate to sell Donny van de Beek. They were so desperate to sell him. And everybody was start thinking, surely this isn't this isn't Donny van de Beek that we all saw in the Champions League. The reason why they wanted to let him go was because they wanted to push through Ryan Gravenberch. And they were like, he's more talented, so we need to let go of Donny van de Beek. You go to Ajax and you get Ryan Gravenberch. And I'll be honest, for me, he was just misprofiled. He was played all over the park. When you're being misprofiled and you haven't settled from going from another country to another country, and then you've got injuries, it's a recipe for disaster. But Ryan Gravenberch has shown the whole world what a player he is. Now, at the end of the day, I don't really look at Hassan Salihamidzic and say, oh, Gravenberch went to Bayern Munich and it didn't work out. I apply context. He went. He had injury after injury. He went chopping and changing of managers. He went chopping and changing of systems, of formations. He was played all over the park. There was no consistency. And I feel like as a player, he couldn't adapt to life in Germany. But I still see the talent. And at the end of the day, I credit him because I'm like, you saw the eye for talent in Ryan Gravenberch. What does Ryan Gravenberch do this season? I believe he was what? Premier League team of the season? He's a Premier League winner and he's had an amazing campaign. The other player that he gets criticised about is Sadio Mane. And I'll be honest with you guys, like, Sadio Mane, yes, he was in the twilight years of his career. Yes, I feel like it was during a period where Bayern were looking to cut corners. They wanted somebody that was relatively cheap but experienced, somebody that could walk in and just hit the ground running. Okay? And I'll be honest with you guys, he scored goals, but let's just say it wasn't the Sadio Mane that we all know. Okay? Like physically he was declining. Technically, I don't even think he was that good. But anyways, Sadio Mane, he went there. It didn't really work out. But I'll be honest, like, the main reason why people look at Sadio Mane and Bayern Munich and they don't look at him with the most positive of mindsets is because he went out in very, very, very bad fashion. Like, he got into a fight with Leroy Sané. I think he beat up Leroy Sané. Yeah, at the end of the day, I can't blame the sporting director for that. I can't. But you know what? Touching on Leroy Sané, Hassan Salihamidzic. He went to Manchester City, where Manchester City were picking up, bro. They were winning Premier Leagues back to back. They were building one of the most exciting teams in Europe. Raheem Sterling, Gabriel Jesus, Sergio Aguero, Yaya Toure, Leroy Sané. They were building a powerhouse team to dominate the Premier League. For you to even have the audacity to go knock on their door and say, give me Leroy Sané, and he convinced him to come, I credit it. I'll be honest with you guys. I have to credit it. So for me, listen, I don't want to sit down because at the moment all I've done is sing his praise. Okay, there's good and there's bad. The bad is, yes, at times he's been a bit too loyal to players. Yeah. So for example, when he could have had the opportunity to let somebody like a Leon Goretzka go, he was like, no, I'm going to offer you a new contract because I still have hope in you. Some could even say the same thing about Leroy Sané because maybe Leroy Sané 2-3 years ago should have been let go. Yes, but I'll be honest with you guys. No sporting director comes without flaws. At the end of the day, I look at him, and similar to what I said about Gintuli, where Gintuli, I looked at him and I said, what is your unique skill set? What makes you different from others? I look at Hassan Salihamidzic and I look at the Jamal Musiala deal. And I tell myself, you have got this hands-on approach. You can negotiate and bring players to Juventus in a different way besides waving money in their faces. And I'll be real, he's reaped the rewards. He's gone and signed the future Ballon d'Or winner. So for me, listen, if Juventus do get him, it's definitely going to be interesting. And I feel like the fact that he's very experienced in the Bundesliga, it might actually open the door for Juventus to start signing players from the Bundesliga. Players in the Bundesliga, they tend to come like players of high intensity, high physicality, a high technical ability. And let's be real, Germans, their understanding of the game is very, very, very high. So it does open the door to different avenues. I'll be honest, it's actually an appointment that I would like to see. But I guess only time will tell. Now, if you're new, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on another one.